Ladies and gentlemen, from the Microsoft Theater here in downtown Los Angeles, brought to you by Shawn Porter Promotions.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Porter Way Podcast. I am your host, Showtime, Shawn Porter. We have Sean Zeitel with Fight Hype. Boom, got it. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to cut and redo it, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, Anthony Bernal, aka Big Black. What's good, Big Black?
We let that go alone like 30 episodes ago.
How was the house last night, man? How was the house?
It was cool. We only have 4 people in the house. We kept it low key.
That's smooth, man. Every now and then, you know, when it's low and quaint, you know what I mean? And it ain't nothing but some love in the room, ready to share in an experience of a lifetime, so to speak. How was the fights over there last night? Was the energy right?
Oh yeah, you know me. I you know me. I'm a betting man. I threw $100 on Arreola and started wilding.
Yeah.
Boy, I was like, I'm talking all type of crap. I'm like, come on, man, finish him. Well, especially when he wobbled him the second time and he just let him they had a lot of respect for each other. I felt like the second time he hurt him, he let him recover. I'm like, get on his ass. But that was a great fight, man.
Yeah. What's up, Carson A. Merck?
I don't know if you explained to the people about your timing on this, but
no, I did not. I don't have to explain myself.
Okay. I just wanted the people to know that it was not my punctuality. I was told a later time, and all of a sudden it became an earlier time.
You don't have to explain yourself.
I just wanted to make sure the people know, because like Ant has mentioned before, I like to be punctual. I like to be on time. So
Ant told me a long time ago, I was going through something. He said, hey man, you ain't got to explain yourself. Just let you know I'm here for you if you need me. And he continued, I would get texts, random texts every now and then, him reminding me, you don't got to explain yourself, right? So I looked at it one day. I said, does he not know the power he gave me in believing that I don't have to explain myself?
You don't, man.
Yeah.
You don't. Hey, one thing about Shawn Porter, one thing for sure about Shawn Porter is nothing for sure. I realized that.
Very true.
We just roll with him.
What does that even mean?
Hey, that's you to the T.
Yeah, 100%.
But you're our boy, Blue.
Yeah, you're our guy. You let us down a couple of times last night, but I don't really have.
What'd I do?
Oh,
man. The blanket was unacceptable. It was unacceptable.
The blanket got me through.
Carson was really hot over here.
Well, see, I was, pun intended, but even so, you used the blanket before against Ugas. You win a world title fight. I have criticisms, but I can't be that mad. Last night to have the blanket on was absurd.
You gotta do something to stand out.
So what I'm gonna do is
terrible suits stand out enough. The blanket's just overkill at that point.
No, they're not terrible suits, okay?
I had someone at my house who loved the suit. He was going on and on about the suit. It was, that part. I think Carson, you tweeted me during the fight. You were like, "Are you sure you're watching the same fights we are? Enjoying them?" But
Carson has this mental block where he sees and hears what he wants to see and hear, and if it's anything contrary, could never be right.
Let's say this.
I can never wear a suit that you just flat out appreciate.
To the fans listening to this podcast, either on YouTube or on social media, tell us if you like Shawn's suits, because all you ever see is, wow, Shawn Porter has terrible suits. This is not a Carson opinion. This is everyone's opinion.
Okay, then, or because
if you like them,
or because this is episode 33, I think, and we're talking about the suit that I just wore on pay-per-view for the fight of Chris Arreola versus Andy Ruiz. Yeah. If you like that suit, please let us know. Either way.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean.
But that's what he does. He takes suit.
I like your suit, but then my man Carson started breaking it down.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying to you.
Because here's the issue. Even if the suit itself, I didn't love the jacket, but I didn't hate the jacket. But it's the two different patterns on the jacket, on the shirt. It's just unnecessary. It's too much.
He convinced the whole house.
It's too much.
The whole house was like, no, he looks he looks good. He looks thinner today and everything.
No, let's not get crazy.
Oh, you're right. Maybe. He clumps all of the suits into the one suit that he didn't like. And it's every suit is comparable to the one suit that he didn't like, and it's like I can never wear something that he appreciates.
Me not liking your suits, I'm in the vast majority of people. I promise you.
You think so?
Well, it's not even a question.
But I guess we'll wait in here.
Yeah.
But while we're on the subject, and it is what it is, the Shawn Porter suit collection is coming soon. So
for the people that like them,
hopefully by the summertime, we got everything in place for that. So and the great part about it is, go into that real quick, and then we'll get back to the fighting. But just to go into that, so everything that I wear, you cannot find in stores. So we talk about the patterns and things like that. I picked those patterns specifically because that's what I'm into. It's what I like. And so when it comes to my suit line, you will have a one-of-a-kind suit that practically it can be emulated. You can see a suit similar to yours in the store at Macy's or whatever, but it won't fit you the way your suit will fit you, and it won't have the precise everything that you want, from the patterns to the cuts and all that different stuff. So that's what I want to do, and that's the element that I love about my suits is, all of my stuff is exactly what I want and how I want it.
And somewhat similar to what Styles Make Fights do for trunks.
Exactly. And I was just with SMF today.
Yeah.
And
what they talking about over there?
We went to we took a ride down to Chula Vista.
Oh, you went to San Diego?
Yeah, real quick, to see the Olympic team. Ooh. Those guys are about to head out to Japan soon. They just finished up a 6-week camp out here in Chula Vista. And they did 2 weeks out here along with France. So France came out here and sparred and trained with those guys for 2 weeks. Everybody looked in good spirits today. This is the end of camp. And I asked those guys, I said, hey, and the women were there as well. So how you guys feeling about camp? Everybody was kind of quiet. I said, y'all ready to go home? And everybody's like, yeah, we ready to go home. I said, hey, that's what camp is for. Camp is to take you out of your surroundings, put you in uncomfortable situations. You deal with it. You do what you got to do to make it through, and then you're ready to fight. So I think they got about, what I was told was like 71 days until the games, and they all look ready. Unfortunate news is that whoever's ahead of the Olympic Games this year has canceled the last qualifier, so we may not be taking an entire team to Japan for the games this year, but. I got to shout out my kid, Tiger from Cleveland, Ohio. He is expected to win a medal over there, and it's been a little minute. So we should definitely look forward to that. And then, of course, going back to Styles Make Fights, I took those guys with me so that we could show this Olympic team, like, hey, this is the standard. This is the new standard of when you turn pro. It's not just, it can't be I fight, I win. You guys got to understand that you're entertainers just as much as you are fighters. And along with that, people say dress to impress. And right here is SMF. They can do whatever you want, how you want it. And nobody else is going to duplicate it. Just like, the Shawn Porter suit collection. So that's that. And we had a great time, man. I'll make sure we get some things posted on the internet and all that kind of stuff. It was a great time. Everybody was really receptive. And, didn't really, got a little jokes here and there. It was cool. Nobody was treating me like a celebrity. Everybody, I think I made them understand really quickly. Like, I'm just Shawn. Don't look at me like anything like that. So, it was just a cool vibe in there, and everybody looked good.
Sometimes it goes one way or the other, where people will like treat you as a celebrity and they'll hold you on this pedestal, and they're kind of awkward or uncomfortable. And then you have that kid like with Cam at Cam Newton's camp this year.
Right.
Where he goes the opposite and he tries to like take down the celebrity, like, oh, you're a bum, blah, blah, blah.
It's just describing yourself. So
I'm not taking you down as a celebrity. I'm taking you down as a fashion icon.
You take me down. You take me down as a human being. Like, when I'm done with you after a day, I'm like, I'm hurting. He
keeps the energy for all of us.
It's like camp. Then you build back up, knock you down, build you back up. But
hey, listen. So let me talk about the broadcast just a little bit.
Yeah,
I had a good time last night. I think the fights did it for us as a group collectively. I thought that everybody did their job very well last night. But Fox brought in Carissa Thompson. She came in. We talked a little bit before we went out to do our thing, and she was like, "Hey, this is your show. I'm just here to kind of, navigate through, and I don't come from boxing, so da 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 da." I said, "Listen, I'll help wherever the help needs to be." I said, "But you gotta understand, I'm a passer too." I said, "You're gonna pass it to me, and I'm going right to Mikey." She's like, "No, what are you talking about?" I said, "It's just how I am. Like that. Everybody's got to get the ball." We get on the stage, and we're going through our rehearsal, and I mean, pro to the max.
Yeah,
she's going through the rehearsal, effing it up, and she's just like, "It is what it is," and I'm like, "Hey, I know my job. I know my little talking points. Mikey tight. I've been working with Mikey all week. We good." I'm seeing her fumble, but it is what it is. When we finished rehearsal was so chopped up. She looked at us. She said, "Hey, so it's almost time to go. Let's have some fun." And I said, "Let's do it." And that's exactly what we did, man. She set the tone, and I think everything else just kind of carried its weight, man. But I had a great time with her. Of course, Kate Abdo was missed. And we look forward to having her back. But if Kate can't miss it, I think Clarissa's the next one to go, man.
Yeah. I think a lot of people felt that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys had fun. It was fun watching you guys. It was a good broadcast. It was a fun broadcast.
Yeah.
The StubHub, well, what's it called now? Dignity Health.
Yeah, Dignity Health Park.
StubHub.
Yeah.
And cool digital underground Shock G hat, Carson.
Got you. RIP.
Shout out to Shock G.
No,
but
nice.
he should have been there last night at the fights.
Yeah, no doubt. So I don't know how much you guys got into the fights because I was showing up on time and you guys were early, but
pretty much.
So Zytel felt very differently about the card than I did. I don't know if that was discussed already.
The entire card, or like what?
The card in its entirety.
We haven't talked about it, Carson. You didn't miss anything. See, Carson.
Okay, I didn't know. I don't know if you guys were cooking me before I got on here or
not at all.
In-depth discussion.
We ignored the fact that you weren't on.
No, that's fine.
As in a white face, that's all.
Yeah, as it should be.
Part of why I was enjoying the broadcast was you guys were having a good time and you captured the feel. I believe everyone on the panel has been there. It's so fun to go to that arena, and has it's a different environment than it is anywhere else to go to fights. And I thought the Fox broadcast, kind of the way they shot it and the way the atmosphere was, I felt like I was back at the StubHub again in Carson. So that was great. But Carson, part of why I enjoyed it so much was, well, one part is when you're covering the fight, you're very like tense and watching everyone walk around for interviews. So when I'm home kicking back, I'm just like so happy to just the fights.
Yeah.
And some of the Figueroa's fight, for example, wasn't competitive, and I really hated to see the health problems that he spitting up blood the way he was. I'm sure we'll get to that more.
Yeah.
But even in a one-sided fight where when the fight's over and I feel bad for the guy afterwards, I just love it when there's action. And we had a lot of action Saturday night, except even Molina Ramos was good, but Cota and Fundora was a slugfest. Figueroa got pounded on, and it wasn't a technical, methodical beating. You got to see a good ass whooping for 4 or 5 rounds. And then the main event delivered way more than any of us thought. Maybe Shawn expected it, but me and you, Carson and Ant, we thought Ruiz was going to win this fight by knockout. So it was a good broadcast. It was a fun broadcast, and shout out to you guys for capturing kind of the vibe of what it's like to be at Dignity Health.
And going back to that, so we I don't know if everybody says this, but I've heard this mimicked around the production crew drinking the Kool-Aid, and basically because we have to promote the fight so much, we talk about it same points every time we come on TV. You say you start to drink the Kool-Aid, and basically you believe in everything that you may be saying, even though you may not be believing it when you say it.
Talk yourself into it.
You still have to promote the fight, and you end up drinking the Kool-Aid and all that kind of stuff. So,
one thing I love that you guys did, though, was at no point during the broadcast did you guys say, like, 50-50 fight. You guys didn't build this Arreola, the nightmare, the underdog. He might. People, the tone was more like, this should be fun.
Yeah.
Ruiz is a huge favorite, but this should be fun. And then turns out it was competitive.
Yeah. So if we go back to NBC being in Puerto Rico, every time we went on air, they were talking Puerto Rico versus Mexico and what that means to boxing. I mean, we said it so much. I was like, okay, I think this is a bit much. I think we feeding this, but every time they went on, they delivered. It was like, all right, well, they did it. So you fast forward to this one, it's like, we talked about Chris Arreola and Andy Ruiz. We talked about the Dignity Health part, aka this. I probably shouldn't do that. And we talked about the energy in there and all that kind of stuff. And it's like we're like almost drinking the Kool-Aid. We said it so much, but then it actually delivered last night, which I thought was pretty awesome. So if you hear the energy a little different from me, I kind of felt like, well, I know that Carissa played a part in that because, and I'm learning more. So I'm learning once you go off of Fox Network television, you go on to pay-per-view. It's not no holds barred, but you
heard what Chris Arreola said after the fight.
That can happen. You know what I mean? So in that respect, I'm starting to learn like, hey, you can do a little more on pay-per-view. Not that I want to, say anything derogatory, anything like that, but stories can be a little longer. You can have the camera on yourself a little longer, like I do on the podcast and things like that. And I was able to just really open up and have a lot of fun. And I think that the viewers at home benefited from that. And I think that the Dignity Health Park being able to be open, I think that everybody else except for the few fights that we had in the stands benefited from that. So.
I was gonna say two things to mention about Dignity Health before we get to the fights. One, the one guy stole my shirt that I wore to your fight versus Ugas.
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
We'll post it because it was unbelievable. Like exact same shirt, exact same venue. I might have left it there. He might have found it. But you mentioned the fights in the crowd. There were some serious throwdowns in the crowd, man.
I hated it. I hated it because it just looks messy. Because it looks messy.
You're a professional.
Because okay, so I'm the same way. Like when the NBA players start getting into it, I'm like, chill out. We don't need a repeat of I don't know what year that was. We don't need a repeat of that. You know what I mean? And the Pacers, and then the same thing like for football. Like them big dudes when they start pushing it all, it just looks ugly. And so I just always want my sport represented well. I think that the alcohol got into the system last night. And the worst part about it is because if you didn't like it, I didn't like it. So the worst part about it is we have COVID situation going on. So there's nobody to come save the day. You know what I mean? I'm not used to a street fight lasting more than 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Last night, guys was lining up.
They were getting it in.
It was tagging out.
They
were tagging
out.
Yeah, I heard a bite. He's got a family.
They were rumbling.
When you got enough time to think and line yourself up, I said, "This is too much."
Hey, one man was giving all body shots.
Yeah, I think I saw. I saw the Dudley boys up there going through tables. It was the best was it's during the main event, and so you see. And it's funny. You see actual fighters turned away from the fight and looking up at the fights in the crowd.
We broadcasting. They announced Chris Arreola's coming to the ring. Then you see a whole bunch of people get up. And from where I'm sitting, everybody got up behind me. I said, oh, shit, Chris coming from behind. Oh. I said, that's not Chris. Stay focused, Shawn. Stay focused. God, somebody need to stop that. Like, you know what I mean? It was bad.
Thought somebody was gonna hit you with the chair.
It was bad.
I'll tell you what. To put a pay-per-view, I didn't order the pay-per-view until 4:59 when me and Carson was sitting there. Oh, shout out to my boy Cornflake. It got dropped last.
No, don't shout him out.
Shout out to Lara. Let me ask you this quickly on that fight before we go to the pay-per-view. How hard of a shot do you think that was?
It was hard.
It was hard to hit.
I think it was a really solid shot, but I don't think that was like a devastating huge punch. Just for me. And I'm a huge Lara fan, but I didn't see that as like a huge like knockout blow.
And they've been trying to measure the amount of power that comes behind it. They've been trying to measure all that stuff for years. And believe it or not, I'll go ahead and tell them myself when we did it during the Olympic run in 2008, I think Deontay Wilder was number 1, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that Gary Russell was number 2.
Allegedly.
And then I think I was like right around 5. Yeah, so
yeah, I just didn't think it was like that huge of a shot for him to be laid out like that. But
just saying that to say we really don't know what the size of a punch really is, and that's why a lot of times when we talk about guys having a punch a knockout rate and percentage and things like that, it's like, okay, who did he get it against, and can that guy take a punch, and and is that guy really hitting hard and things of that nature. I think it's clear to see that Errol Spence Jr. has he's a heavy-handed fighter, and he's got a punch. It's clear to see Keith Thurman one time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was able to stand up to a majority of their punches. That doesn't mean they don't hit hard. It also goes into, you got to take into account who the opponents are and things like that as well. So that punch, I think, was an amount of the punch landing in the very perfect place, the timing of it. And then dude was dude. It
was good. It was a good shot. I think maybe it knocks him down, but like to like flatten it, I thought it was a bit much. But
so people were kind of tripping on it. So I said, well, what was dude's record? He was Carissa said he was 34-1. I said 34-1. What? Yeah. He was 34 losses and one. Yeah. So now when we come back on air, like I was all hyped up about the knockout. I'm like, something we don't really see from Lara. He got that against a guy who's 34-1, and then she said, "Slide me the paperwork afterwards." I'm like, "Dang, I messed that one up."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It all adds up, though. But what were you saying, Ann, about the pay-per-view?
Yeah, but I was saying when I ordered it, I was like, man, I did not want to order it, but I'm like, let's just watch it. First 3 fights, like Carson said, I wasn't impressed. Fandora fight, that was a good fight. That was better than I thought. They were throwing them things. They were throwing them things. So that one, but then the main event, by the time I was done with the pay-per-view, I feel like I got my money's worth. The main event exceeded expectations. Yeah. I don't know why we just looked over Chris Arreola like that. Like we looked at it like my man's he been through.
I got to give Chris a lot of credit.
Do we want to go through the rest of the fights first, or do we want to just go right there? We can do that.
I mean, we can kind of run through them. There wasn't like a interesting storyline on all of them. Like the first fight, kind of ugly. There was a point taken, which was kind of weird too. But I thought that was just kind of a sloppy fight. It was one of those where you're like, okay, can this just go? Like, can this just speed up?
Yeah.
The Fandora fight was cool. Cota was there for a little while.
Yeah. I guess the storyline of that was the stoppage. I thought the stoppage was premature, but the timing was bad. But
the timing was hilarious.
It's Jorge Cota, so it's gonna happen.
And I were laughing at the timing because Cota has that left hand cocked. He keeps trying to throw it.
My dude, was you laughing too, Carson? 100%. My dude was holding that.
I'm gonna hit you.
Yeah, and then he finally lands it, and the ref's like, "All right, that's it." I was like, "You waited for him to finally land the shot and then stopped it." But
I gotta let y'all know, y'all don't hear it on air, but the same way y'all watch me, I watch fights with y'all. I'll be wilding. And we sit on chairs that's high. I'll be falling out the chairs and everything.
Oh, no.
I seen my dude, he was holding the left hand.
Yeah, that thing.
That was unreal. I've never seen that before. I promise. So like Deontay Wilder, you see like, and he's even done this before where he cocks his right hand, but he keeps that right hand cocked. And so he does, and so you see it sitting there.
Yeah,
but that was unreal, man. My dude Cole was.
He was taking shots while
I was gonna say
Wilder
usually isn't getting hit while he has that.
Right.
I'm like this, and he's just like,
right.
He's like, I'm gonna get this shot.
I'm gonna get this shot.
Yeah,
I can't believe y'all see that too.
Yeah, it was funny, but Fandora gets him out of there. Nice win.
He's fun to watch. He's really fun to watch.
He annoys me.
Yeah. Is it the range that annoys you, SP?
Yeah, and this was my problem, and I'm glad Mikey was there that I could vent. I said, Mikey, Mikey, the whole fight he's been up on Cota, punching, trying to rough him up and all that kind of stuff. That's your style, okay? I get it. I said, but now you got dude hurt, and you want to take some steps back to find your range and distance to land a shot from the outside. Why? How are you not smart enough to know that I should do that from the very beginning?
The time. I literally said to Ant, "Oh, now you get range. Now you step back."
I don't dig that. I'm sorry. I don't dig that.
It was beautiful when he shot off that 4 or 5 punches at the perfect range. Yeah.
I was like, dude, you smothered your punches and we were working on the inside, and then you're like, I want to finish him. Now I'm gonna fight it at the distance.
And of course, I'm sitting there watching. I'm thinking to myself, maybe he'll learn from this, and maybe we'll see a different Fundora in the next fight. So I think he'll learn from that. You can't not do something on purpose and then rewatch your fight and see what you did, and then say, I'm not gonna fight like that. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So
I'm thinking probably coming next for him and Jerry Hurd in the phone booth.
Ooh. I thought the same thing.
Because that's you fight just to like.
Yeah,
that's a good fight.
Yeah,
it is. That's a hell of a fight.
I think he just needs the kind of like we've mentioned with the other young guys. I don't know how old he is off the top of my head, but he just needs to just keep testing himself. Like, just keep fighting guys that are better.
Yeah.
And then eventually you're gonna see what level you're at. Yesterday, obviously, we weren't really gonna see. None of us were like, "Oh, Coda, I don't know, he might get him."
Not until the fight started, or was I drinking the Kool-Aid when Coda was landing some shots?
Yeah, it was a better fight than I think we even mentioned last week.
Because I straight up was like, "Oh, could he?"
The Figueroa fight was ugly.
That one was tough.
Yeah, it was
ugly, and then really ugly.
Like, I get there's action, and we like action, but everything's not good action.
Where does Figueroa go from here?
He should retire.
I agree.
He's a very, very old 31 with that style he fight. That style he was fighting in last night was like a caricature of the style that was effective he had years ago as a lightweight. And
did he fight like that at lightweight?
He did, but what he was doing last night was like an exaggerated.
It was very exaggerated.
What he used to be, and that's a style that can only work when you're the bigger guy. It's a style that's only really effective when you have some physical advantages, like he did over guys at lightweight. So then, Omar has some problems making weight, and then he has to go up to welterweight, where he's really not a welterweight, and really fighting with that style against guys that are physically stronger than you and bigger is a tall ask. So
and his brother's basically doing the same thing, fighting in the weight class that he's much bigger than the rest of the guys, and really squeezing into the weight class. I think he's fighting at 135.
No, 122.
Shoot, you're right.
He's way down there.
You're right. He is fighting at 122.
And he's fighting Luis Neri for the WBC title.
Yeah, that's not gonna be good.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think Omar had a good run. I think you retire. Like, a good run. There's not a. Let me just say this: there's not any shame in retiring. Like,
no,
it's not something like. Yeah, well, I'm not sure if that was like you're retiring, but no, it's not like
no. And then I pulled the hat down too, like you were like the NFL.
I'd like to announce that. No, it's like I get when people are like, "Oh man, he should just retire." Like that can come off as disrespectful sometimes. And sometimes it's meant that way.
Yeah,
I don't think like it. Your career sometimes just ends. Like
they always say the fighter is the last to know.
Yeah.
I think that I do think that he should retire. I think that last night was much, much more than he bargained for. I was expressing to Shawn off air that I saw things last night that I've been seeing for some time. It's almost like he's leaving footprints of him being done, and then he just comes back into those footprints and tries to reinvent himself. And I think that this really was the last one. When you're bleeding, when you're throwing up blood, that's just not that. More than anything is the telltale sign that you should be concerned for your health, not just tonight because I did it, but moving forward. So again, man, we want to keep these guys safe. We want them to entertain. We want them to be able to support themselves, their families, and things like that. We never want to get in the way of anybody's success or what they want to do in life, money, anything like that at all. But at the same time, we always need to be realistic. And as the saying goes, the fighters are always the last to know, aka we're always the last ones to want to be realistic. So I think at this point, it takes somebody like being behind them to, let him know what needs to happen.
Yeah.
It reminds what you said, the fighters are usually the last ones to know. And it reminds me of a quick story I have from 3 years ago with Brandon Rios when he fought Danny Garcia.
Quick story, because this ain't about you.
No, I know.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
But it reminds me of Omar Figueroa because was getting ready to fight Danny Garcia the next night, and Brandon's speech, you know, as people that love watching him fight was starting to notice wasn't quite the same. And I had talked to him and I said, you know, maybe, you know, what do you think of people worried about your health and thinking about retiring? And like Carson said, you know, a fighter is a lot of times going to take that as disrespect.
Yep.
And he kind of, you know, he launched some curse words or whatever and didn't appreciate that question. And I didn't mind because, you know, like a Omar Figueroa, Brandon Rios, part of that, you know, never quit attitude is why he's there in the first place.
Yeah.
Is the same reason why he'll never walk away or doesn't want to walk away is the same reason why he became a world champion.
Right.
So, but unfortunately, what wound up happening that night, you went on to call out Danny after the fight. Yeah. Danny knocked him out with a one-punch shot.
Brandon never
and prior to that, he was controlling the fight. Remember?
Right.
Yeah.
Winning some rounds.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, it's like you said, sometimes they're the last ones to know, especially Omar fought like not like Brandon, but they both come forward guys who take a lot of punishment. And so, you know, I don't want to see these guys hurt. And I hope Omar, you know, just because I don't want him to take it as disrespect. Is the same reason why you don't want to leave is why you were a champion. But enough's enough.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But yeah, the main event, I would say it exceeded expectations as far as the competitiveness of it. I think kind of after maybe the 5th to the 10th, it slowed down a little bit, but not like.
How you gonna bounce over the first 3 rounds?
No, because I'm saying that fight in general, but that was the only there were some lulls as far as it being consistent action. But man, Chris drops him in the second, hurts him in the third.
Too much respect. He should have finished him in the third.
I watched the highlights again.
They had a lot of respect for each other, man.
Should have jumped on him. I don't know how hurt he was in the third when he stumbled back, but he should have taken the chance there, I think, in my opinion.
I think part of why he did that was he was being patient, and he was circling the ring to start the fight. You know, something Chris usually doesn't do.
Yeah, he just don't get you like an old dad, like we talked about.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought he was going to be that Jamil McCline, Chris Arreola, just go in and throw it and go for it. But he was being smart and patient and crafty, and part of why he was able to hurt him was he timed him. And he waited for Andy to initiate the exchanges. So I think maybe part of it was him being like, this is how I got him hurt in the first place. Let me try and stay in my shell doing what I was doing that got me here. But like you said, Ant, ultimately that was probably his best chance to win the fight. Maybe that was he's walking a tightrope where it's like, do I go after him and give this guy a chance with the counter punching? And so, yeah.
I think that Joe and Chris, I thought that they did a wonderful job. They may have outsmarted themselves, or either they outsmarted themselves by this much, or they missed something along the way and they didn't make the adjustment that needed to be made. And so what I mean by outsmarted themselves, great game plan by if you're following the blueprint of Anthony Joshua, you're using the entire ring, you're keeping Andy off with the jab. The thing that everybody wanted to see Anthony Joshua do was capitalize once Andy gets close enough. Yeah. Anthony Joshua never stepped up and did that. And that's why I said they did a great job, because not only did Joe say, hey, we're going to control the tempo of this fight. We're going to circle the ring. We're going to wait for moments for him to come in. We're going to time him. And that's how we're going to get him. It was working, and it was working to a T, especially in the first 2 to 3 rounds. I think that they didn't turn it on soon enough. And I think that that's where they outsmarted themselves. I think that Joe knew that they were going to turn it on. And I think that they weren't expecting the adjustment that Andy Ruiz made. And once Andy made an adjustment, I think that Joe missed that adjustment. And I think that, it was clear that Chris missed the adjustment. When the corner misses it, the fighter's got to catch it. When the fighter doesn't catch it, the corner's gotta catch it. And I think that they both missed that right there, where Andy started to say, hey, I'm not gonna keep walking into this stuff. He's timing me. Let me time him. Started to counterpunch Chris. And Chris didn't. That's when you turn it on and use everything we've seen you use in the past. You come at this dude, you rough him up. You use a little bob and weave if you can't keep the use the jab to as defense coming in. And I just think that right there was where they dropped the ball.
Let me know if this analogy hits, and we're all football fans. So it almost reminded me of an athletic quarterback that can get outside the pocket. And you specifically go into a game with a game plan of staying in the pocket, and there's a third down, and you got 10 yards and open field, and you're like, naturally, my instinct is to go, and you don't do it because you stick too close to the game plan. It seemed like there were times, like when he hurts him, where Chris, I think his natural instinct of what we've seen him do in every fight is just go, okay, I got him hurt. I'm going to charge in and throw these shots.
Right.
Like he was like, no.
Yeah,
stick to the game plan. Where I think that was a time where he needed to go with his instinct a little bit. So
that's exactly what I mean by outsmarting themselves. It's great to be under control. It's great to work behind the jab and be very structured. I think I haven't watched his entire career, but I would say as of late, that was one of the most structured fights I've ever seen Chris perform and be in. And I thought that it really worked to his advantage, but then they dropped the ball right there where they didn't make the adjustment and really turn that fire up really hot.
And I definitely expected in the 10th round, late round, championship rounds, Chris was just going to go old Chris.
I did too.
But he just stayed patient. It's like he was so disciplined on the game plan.
Yeah.
He didn't see that. I mean, I think he felt he was losing.
Yeah.
He was just waiting on that shot. The shot wasn't there no more.
He said he hit me in my wing.
Yeah, and I don't know how much that because it did look like it bothered him a lot. He was shaking
was it like
his
2
arm.
or 3 times?
I gotta imagine it was one or two things. It was either numb or it was really painful for him. It wasn't painful enough to the point where he couldn't use it, but it was painful. And I got a feeling it was numb to the point where he couldn't feel the velocity that he was throwing it with, and he wasn't able to use that. I think that really played a role in the way he ended up fighting near the end.
And to Andy's credit, part of why he probably wasn't able to turn it up like that is Andy so fast with his counterpunching and his combinations won't let him.
I could not talk about Andy's 1, 2, 3. I mean, he was throwing like an Amir Khan type 1, 2, 3. Like it was coming so fast. You know what I mean?
Oh, big guy is so damn fast.
Yeah, no, his hands are a little
damn fast, man.
Yeah. His hands are a little they fast especially for him to be that big. It's pop.
Yeah.
Pop. Yeah.
Look, he looked really good last night. Only drawback for Andy, and it was a significant one, was with that weight dropped. At least for the time being, he had that loose skin, and his punch resistance looked not as good.
Yeah.
He didn't look as solid to taking a good shot, which is so important at heavyweight. But he's light on his feet, fast hands. He's got skills. He's got skills like a middleweight.
Yeah.
At heavyweight. So he looked good.
Yeah, I think he to give Andy even more credit is just Chris fought so much better than we thought he would, and Andy still won by a wide margin. So it's like we thought he was going to blow the doors off him, but we got a great Chris Arreola that had a different game plan, and Andy still was able to overcome that and
he had to get off the canvas.
Get off the canvas, yeah.
Did y'all agree with the score?
Little wide for me.
Yeah, I had an 8-4.
117, 110 is very understandable because that's the judges saying he won the round, he got the knockdown in, and he won the round right after it. I think what Chris is upset about and what fans get upset about too sometimes is like every round's close. But if one guy's winning every round, at the end of the night, it's 120, 108. Even if every single round was competitive.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked at it like I totally feel where Chris is coming from. Everyone counted me out. I dropped him. I know I didn't lose no blowout fight.
Yeah.
He didn't. But at the same time, it's you can be in a competitive fight where the guy's winning and edging out every round. And I thought Andy did that beyond the 4th round or so.
I think Brian Kenny mentioned that. I think he said that on the broadcast.
He nailed it.
Even if it's a close fight, you can lose every round. It can happen. But my instinct was it was wide, but I don't think any of us thought like he got robbed, and I don't think he got robbed. He even said like, I lost. Like that's fine. I don't mind that I lost. It's just the scorecards. But
wasn't feeling the fans booing Andy afterwards.
No, me neither. That sucked. You know, he didn't deserve that. He fought very well. Chris fought very well. I mean, it was an entertaining fight. I think that
money's worth.
Yeah, I think that they were booing the judges, and I think that carried over into him booing Andy, and he didn't deserve that. Yeah. And Andy's like, "Yo, let's run it back. It was amazing. We'll do it again." You know,
thank you.
I have an analogy that I used earlier because I found myself very proud of Andy Ruiz and how he handled himself after the knockdown and after a relatively tough third round in this fight. And I'm also going to name drop a little bit. So I did Culturally Canceled with Russell Peters, and the episode that I did with him, we also had Cedric the Entertainer on the show, as well as another
pick all them names up off the floor.
As well as another comedian, Ruben Paul. Damn you.
He's rattled.
Listen. So we got on the subject on the show. We got on the subject of check out Culturally Canceled, Russell Peters podcast. He's got a great podcast. A lot like us, we don't really talk about what we're gonna do. He said, yeah, we'll just talk for a little while. We ended up talking for like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, and they ended up cutting it into 3 episodes. But anyway, we got on the subject of bombing. And I asked the guys, I said, how does it happen? Says, man, you know, it's just sometimes you go out there, man, and it's like the first joke doesn't go. He said, and sometimes after that first joke doesn't go, it's like you just never catch your rhythm. I was hearing boxing, and you never get on. He said, before you know it, you bombing, and you know. He said, I bombed before where I had to tell people, hey, well, you know, tonight ain't really my night. I said you had to apologize. He said, man, I had to apologize to him. He said the difference between us and y'all is if y'all have a bad night, y'all can't come back the next night. I said, so you want that back? He said, man, every time you bomb, you want to come back the very next night. Russell said, when I bomb, it's always my fault. He said, anytime I bomb, it's because I get into my head. And it reminded me of Andy Ruiz last night, where he had a tough first round, and he had a obviously tough second round, tough third round, and he had some points in some other rounds as well, 4th round and 5th round before he took over. And the analogy that I used, I said, so you have a situation where you have comedians, one comedian specifically said, hey, when I bomb, when I don't have a good night, it's because I'm in my head. And what I transferred that to is when a fighter has a bad night in the ring, it's because something's not right mentally. I said, so what I would have expected would have happened to Andy didn't happen. And this was the analogy. I said, when you are in a tough fight, a fighter that's handling a fight with no problem, they're going to do like this the entire fight. A fighter that comes in, they flat, stuff like that, they're going to go down. It's not going to be here mentally, and they're going to continue to do this. I said, but good fighters, the best fighters, you may be in a little bit of a roller coaster ride through the fight. You may have some rough moments in rounds in fights. You may be in a little bit of a roller coaster ride where you're trying to keep your energy up, keep your mental right, throw the right punches, make the right adjustments, all that kind of stuff. So here's Andy in round 1. I don't know if y'all can see this.
We can.
Yeah, here's Andy in round 1, and then round 2, he takes a dip. Round 3, he came up a little bit, but then he dipped a little bit more. Most guys in the boxing ring, when they get here, they don't know how to pull themselves out. And that's what I give the most credit to Andy for, is he found a way to make an adjustment. Let me start playing defense. Let me stop walking into all of this shit because it hurts a little bit. Yeah. And let me use my fast hands and start timing him. Chris wasn't ready for that adjustment. Joe, I don't think they ever saw that adjustment. So Andy went from first round, second round, third round, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, found his stride, found his rhythm, and he rode his way, man, to a victory. And I found myself sitting back like, that's what makes you great. That's what establishes greatness in the boxing ring. It's not always going to be power. It's not going to always be speed. It's not going to always be skills. We talk about Boots Ennis. He has all of that. But when he really establishes his greatness is when he's in the ring with the toughest. He makes it through whatever he makes it through, and he shows how great he really is. That's yet to be seen. But we've seen Andy in a few situations now where he's been on some roller coaster rides, and I thought that last night, my man, he made it through that little dip, and when he came up, man, he came out of that water and he just started rising, man. And I was very proud of him for that.
Yeah. With that, in sports in general, obviously boxing, like you mentioned, sometimes things can snowball. Like in baseball, the shortstop will make an error, and then it's in the pitcher's head, and then he makes a bad pitch, and then the right fielder makes an error. Football, penalties kind of stack up. So, to be able to kind of pull himself out of that definitely shows what he has. I don't know, kind of moving forward from what's next for him. I'm not positive what you say?
I got Luis Ortiz.
Good fight.
I like that fight. Both of them have shown that they can be hurt, so I think that makes it interesting. Both of them have very fast hands for heavyweights. That's probably the best fight. I don't really care to see Ruiz Arreola too. It was a good enough fight for one time. Wilder, I think, stops Ruiz. I think
I like that fight though. That's
Ruiz and Wilder,
marketability wise too.
Yeah.
I think that's a very sellable fight. And
I think it'll be good. I think it'll be a good fight.
Yeah, I just think Deontay, just the power that he has in both hands, but obviously his right hand especially, I don't think Andy can stand up to that for very long.
Andy can't move like you need to do against Wilder.
Yeah.
You got to be able to move.
Yeah, I think Ruiz Ortiz seems like the most logical fight for both of them.
I think that that's a really good fight on paper and in the ring. I think that there's some elements that both guys have to make it a great fight, but I feel like the two defeats that Luis Ortiz has to Wilder, I think that they are gonna always linger for him, and I feel that he may be at a point now where, I'm not saying it's one and done, but I'm definitely thinking that it's gonna be hard for him to stand up under duress. Once it Ortiz. Yeah, once that duress kicks in, I think that it may be hard for him. Along the way, he comes to the ring fit and all that kind of stuff. I think that his boxing ability keeps a lot of fighters off of him. But if you're Andy Ruiz, we see the fast hands. He can get inside. He likes to work the body and bring it up to the top. I got Andy winning that fight, and don't forget, like, I'm a big Luis Ortiz fan. So
I might lean Ortiz
stopping him.
Yeah.
No, I think
just off the KO at his age.
You think he can thump that hard?
He only 50.
He just thumped that.
just off like the. Yeah, I don't know, and that might be one of the most boxing heavyweight fights, like, because both of them obviously have power. Like, you're a heavyweight, you have power, and both of them have shown that. But both of them can really box. I don't know. Ruiz might catch him, but like, Ruiz isn't Deontay Wilder. He doesn't have that kind of power, and like, Luis Ortiz beat Deontay Wilder almost every round of the fights they had.
Both fights.
Yeah, both fights, except when he got stopped. I'm not sure, because Ruiz didn't look like, I might have missed something. I don't think he really hurt Chris Arreola at all yesterday.
Andy?
Yeah, I didn't see Arreola like wobbled it or anything.
Yeah, I mean, and again, we gotta also consider who we talking about. That dude can take a punch, which is it's kind of unreal.
You could hit him with like a crowbar.
Yeah, but I do think that Andy had a few moments where he might have stunned Chris, but that's different from hurting Chris, wobbling Chris, but that's kind of hard to do.
Chris not wanting to swarm him like he does literally by anybody else he's ever fought probably points to Luis can crack.
I think that's a good fight. I would be interested in seeing that.
I like Ruiz. I like Ruiz and Wilder too.
I like that fight.
Just because I feel like Wilder's got to get back in the ring before he gets into that kind of fight, because Andy's not just walking and throwing one punch. Like Andy's coming a little different. So I think
he lays him out. I think Ruiz gets stopped.
Yeah, I find it hard to. Again, we got to see Deontay get back in the ring.
Rounds in
because Ruiz also isn't. He's a big guy, but he's not like a Tyson Fury tall big guy. Like he's for a heavyweight. He's
big and he's basically right there in line for what we all know is going to come.
Yeah.
But then here's the thing: like he's smart, he's agile to be as big as he is. He presents some problems to Deontay Wilder. He does.
Yeah.
I do. Sure, I could see Deontay landing that right hand. I think that right hand is unmatched. But at the same time, I think that Deontay's got to get back in the ring before I think that Ruiz is a very tough fight for him in a comeback fight.
I think Ruiz is a tough fight for every single heavyweight. I mean, beat Anthony Joshua. So
for sure.
But I think Deontay lays him out. But I know we don't have a whole ton of time. You always like to say we're up against it, but next week, Canelo fights. People are trying to convince people that Billy Joe Saunders might get him. I'm not in that camp at all.
I hated what they did with the previous fight, the very last fight that Canelo had, because not that one, the one he had against
with the brother. Come on, Boxing Encyclopedia.
Come on,
I'm looking up. Wait, say it again.
Who did he fight? Who did Canelo fight before Yildirim?
Oh, Callum Smith.
Callum Smith.
Yeah, Callum. I mean, they were feeding that to us like
for the ring championship.
Yeah, they were feeding that to us like it was really going to happen. I knew it wasn't, but then like it was kind of despicable. It seemed, hindsight's 2020, but y'all talked this dude up, and it was kind of despicable how he really didn't show up to the ring. So
I think Billy Joe Saunders is above Callum Smith, but also I'm not a big Billy Joe Saunders fan. I think he's kind of a douchebag. He's done some kind of shitty things in the past, but I hope Canelo blows him. Yeah, well, I'm not. There's not a lot of boxers I like. Dislike.
Carson always say I don't know these people.
Yeah,
because I didn't know him until I talked to him. Now my whole opinion changed.
Well, that's very true, but I can go on like what Billy Joe Saunders has done. Like he's done some things I've seen things that were bad, and PEDs. Obviously, Canelo has that too. But I don't see him beating Canelo, and I don't know. Billy Joe Saunders isn't a very fun fighter to watch either. So I hope Canelo goes in there kind of like seek and destroy. And it's just like, all right, I'm just going to be on him.
Mm-hmm.
But, the undercard is abysmal. I'll say that right now.
We're trying to figure that out.
One of the worst undercards.
Spell that word.
Abysmal. ABYS.
You don't got to do that, Carson.
I didn't know if he was going to come with the A.
No, I know how to spell it, but in my head, I started it when I might even misspell it. But you
got it, I think.
You got it.
ABYSMAL. Yeah. But the undercard is there as of today when I checked. We're going
to have a spelling bee on here someday.
Oh, I feel good about that.
I'm all right.
I went to state.
Yeah.
Okay, Louisiana, but
I lost in the first round when I was in middle school.
Never mind. I gotta go to Louisiana. I'm done.
They literally, as of today, on the undercard, have somebody verse TBA today. A week from the fight.
No, but TBA has so much experience. You can't count him out.
TBA's been on a lot of cards in his years, for sure.
You had to fight him back in the day. Don't lie. You had to
I did.
Yeah, he's been on some pay-per-views and some title fights. But the undercard is bad.
Respect on TBA's name.
Yeah, the undercard is bad. I think I just think the main event's gonna be lopsided. We talk about there's not a lot of guys that can like test Canelo. Like he's really damn good.
And I'm guessing he getting 20 million plus. Where the hell is money coming from? Because in views.
Someone's got dirty money to wash.
Okay.
Allegedly. He cooked Oscar De La Hoya in an interview, but he went hard on Oscar De La Hoya.
What I found interesting about that was him and I didn't hear this reported before that he had to pay $8 million of his own money to Oscar De La Hoya to get out of that contract. So that was like ether. He was going in, but I don't know. I think he stops him. I hope he stops him.
And on to
You want to do fan questions?
No. I meant and on to
Canelo next.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who do you think?
Caleb Benavides.
Yeah,
that's all that's left to
Last night, I was trying not to, but I'm gonna bust him out, and we gotta get him on the podcast. Was hanging out with Lennox after the fights, and he seems to think that Benavidez can give Canelo a run.
Yeah,
possibly beat him.
I've been saying that.
Yeah.
And he thinks the opposite. I'm telling on him. He thinks I'm pretty sure he said he thinks the opposite of Caleb, like complete opposite.
Oh, since he got a British accent, you're gonna listen to him, but you can go, all right, cool.
Yeah, Zytel said the same thing on here. You said Zytel was stupid and ugly.
Zytel, yeah, you say you guys are bums.
You've never been in the ring.
Yeah, I bet you.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
I said that about who?
No, you didn't say about Zytel. All three of us.
No, I'm saying like I said that I think that Caleb can challenge him, and I think that Benavidez can challenge him.
We're just messing around.
Okay.
Don't be confused.
All right.
With the Billy Joe fight. Oh yeah, reason why I was off guard when you guys were asking who's Count Smith is I just wanted to. You got to play this every time we bring up Canelo. Hold on. Okay. Now that I did that. Now that I did that,
send that to us so that we all got it and we can push the button at some point.
Right. You got it. Okay, there you go.
Is he gonna have a lengthy walkout? By the way, sorry to cut you off. Is it gonna be like? Because that last time was a whole. Was it Bad Bunny that he did the concert with, or J Balvin?
J Balvin.
Yeah, J Balvin.
I wish I didn't know that, but
no, J Balvin's got hits. But
I feel like Shawn. I feel like you can't forget stuff.
Yeah, he's like a low-key genius.
Yeah.
Low-key?
Yeah. He come out of nowhere every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be this might be another lengthy walkout. But what were you going to say, Zytel?
Why doesn't he just like beam in the hologram of Selena? Just
not a bad idea.
Right? Instead of J Balvin. But I think with this fight, if he can, I want to say this about Canelo. If he can, I already know, like everybody else, he's gotten better as a fighter.
Right.
If he continued that, he's only gone one direction.
Yeah.
He's like that awful boy band, but goes one direction. But last time he fought a guy, if Canelo can dominate Saunders and Saunders shows up in good form, the way he's been dominating these guys, that tells me a lot about Canelo. Because I don't doubt that he's gotten way better and that he might be the best fighter in the world. But the last time he fought a guy with the attributes of movement and some speed like Amir Khan was piecing him up. And a lot of people thought he was winning that fight before he got bombed out of there. Mm-hmm. And we all know Lara. And so he hasn't faced that style in a while. So if he can knock Saunders out of there and make easy work of him or 12-0 him, that I'll be very impressed. And I actually don't expect him to do that. I think that Saunders will do enough to remind everyone, oh yeah, he's not a robot. Oh yeah, he's not invincible.
This is a great measuring stick for us right now.
It is, as long as Saunders shows up.
I'll take it.
But I think Saunders with his jab and his movement, he's gonna win 2 or 3 rounds. He's gonna make it 117, 111. And I got Canelo by decision. I look for Canelo to, kill the body and the head will follow. He's going to have to get to the body because Saunders is going to be moving. And I think early Saunders is going to have some success. And then once Canelo finds that rhythm, he's going to lean more towards, let me get 12 rounds instead of step it up and try to really win the fight in the second half. But I think Saunders will give him a couple problems for sure.
Well, Chris, not Chris, Shawn, you don't work for DAZN, so stop talking about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Saunders. I think he's. I don't think he's. I mean, he's dead. I know he's not as quick as Lara is.
Bigger.
Yeah, he's bigger. So I think maybe he has some of that, but he's not as quick. So I don't think he gives Canelo that much of a problem with that. Yeah, I think Canelo's. I think he's gonna, like you said. I think he's gonna rock the body. I said, I think he gets him out of there, but yeah, I don't know. He's just so good. I'm like, if he wins all 12 rounds or stops him, like we know what he is. And
so, what's the game plan, Ant? What we doing?
By watching the fight?
Yes, sir.
I guess we'll go to the Porters. Hey, allegedly. Can I go to the Porters?
Yeah, Browns ain't drafting no more. They ain't playing no more.
Shout out to the Browns, though.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to
100%
Canelo. Hey, Shawn Porter, do not answer this. Us three, we can. Hey, shout out to Canelo getting his brother back from a hostage situation. I'm telling you right now, my brothers and sisters, y'all get kidnapped, you got 10,000. Any more than that, I'll make more off you when you're dead. So
I'm not gonna address that either. I'm gonna slide over there with SP.
How much you got? How much you got? Somebody take your brother and sister.
Oh,
I have
Lord.
no idea.
I don't got brothers and sisters.
Do not answer this. Shawn Porter, do not answer this. I'm talking to everybody else.
On advice of I will not respond to that question.
I got 10,000. Anything over 10,000, I'm gonna make more off of them.
I got nothing. I got no money. I have nothing.
Oh, so you ain't paying shit.
Yeah, I got nothing. I got a good personality.
What you got, brother and sister? What you got?
Yeah. I got a couple.
My man be trying to look all tough. He know damn well if they say 12, he gonna pull out that 12.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
At 12,
I'm stopping a 10 and not a cent more. It's like, can you do it for 12? Fine. Bring the 12. Can you do it for the 12?
I'll be like, you take 11?
They're gonna do it just to spite you. You like, all right, fine.
I will say to transition away from this extremely awkward topic. It is impressive that he was able to deal with that during a fight and still go in there and do the business. But
the way I've heard it told, man, they deal with that in Mexico all the time, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's why me and my wife wants to go visit her family in Mexico, but we won't go.
They're like in our heart, like the gutter.
Mexico City and a little village outside, but when they see tourists, especially ones that look like me, sometimes they feel,
I'm always nervous every time Shawn family always wants him to go. I'll be like, I don't even want to say nothing. But I'm like, but I don't want to say nothing. I'm like, it's probably not in best interest, Shawn, to go. Where they be going.
Now, like it's something to think about now. I didn't really pay attention to it. Now because her family back and forth all the time. You know that. Yeah. So I didn't really like think about it and pay attention to it. But now it's like, something to pay attention to.
They love boxing there, though. They might be kidnap you, and then they're just like,
no, man. Listen, this is a true story. This is a true story.
Every day.
We went over there when we were 16. There was I think 7 of us when we went over there when we were 16, and we saw guys like following us. We wasn't really doing nothing. It was early part of the afternoon, and then we was like, yo, let's go back across the border. My dad went over there the same time that we were there. He went over there with some guys from England. And got into a cab, and I guess the cab driver told him he was taking them one place and started taking the whole crew somewhere else.
Damn.
So and they got out of that situation that could have been a big situation, So it happens, man. It's unfortunate.
This took a serious turn.
I ain't never lied.
And this topic lasted 7 minutes longer than it.
$100.
7 minutes.
Gonna be like, I don't got 100.
Yeah, this was crazy.
He gonna say,
okay, all right, that's the part away. We all over.
Yeah.
My dude
He said, yeah.
We have really deep opinions about the Mexican government, Carson.
I guess.
You didn't know this was actually a topic planned out.
It seems like
we just commenting on it.
I'm saying we didn't comment on it. We commented on it, and then it became hypotheticals, and then it built into 3 different stories. So commenting on it.
And start negotiating prices.
Yeah, the music.
I hope. Yeah, sounds good.
We want to do a question, or are we good for the day?
I don't think it's fair to do a question because everyone has the same question, which is up to you if you would like to address it or not.
Am I fighting?
No, not that specifically.
Why don't you activate your mandatory versus Crawford?
Yeah.
No.
There's 7 people who comment every single one. Let
me say this. And if I get in trouble, I get in trouble. It's what it is.
Oh, shot cloud off. I won't be a part of this.
Oh, this would get you in trouble. The last
and no excuses or anything. I'm keeping it real.
Yeah.
What boxing, and you guys should already know this, but if anybody out there watching doesn't, what boxing shows you is not always what boxing is going to give you. Boxing will show you one thing and then give you something completely different. We saw the case where y'all forwarded me the new ranking for the WBO, where somehow I've been bumped from number 1 to number 2, and Virgil Ortiz is in my place. I've been at that spot since summer of last year. I'm 2-time world champion. I've been fighting at the world championship level since 2013. I mean, there's a host of other things that come along with that I'm in some ways required to be number 1. Yet boxing says WBO says we're gonna move Shawn Porter out of that number 1 spot, and we're gonna put Virgil Ortiz into that number 1 spot. They presented y'all with one thing, and now they're giving you something different. It is a part of the sport. Y'all should already know that. When you saying, well, hey, you should have did this, you should have did that. I have people that I have to listen to. And when those people give me direction, when those people give me the business and tell me where it works to my advantage and where it doesn't, I have to sit back and do what I have to do. And at this point in time, I'm still sitting back and seeing what's going to happen. Y'all think activate the mandatory. Wow, it's a great catchphrase. It's a great theme. It's something nice to be heard and said. Don't none of y'all know what it means to activate a mandatory clause, and don't none of y'all know if activating a mandatory clause is even a real thing in boxing. But if they come on, it could have been simple negotiations by PBC and Top Rank, and they'll come on and say Shawn Porter has activated his clause to fight his mandatory clause to fight Terence Crawford. No, PBC and Top Rank did structure the deal and made it happen. They're going to give you what they want you to see. So now we're seeing something a little different. Again, no excuses. And I still got to call my man, and, I want to go on record for saying for some time now, I felt like in some capacity, I've disrespected him, kind of going away from our agreement to speak to one another and, kind of getting out saying, hey, I want to fight the dude. I think I did that a little wrong and I haven't called him yet. So maybe I'll give him a call this week, and then I'll have something for y'all this coming weekend, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think that was the question that fans wanted to know.
Yeah.
And to kind of close on that as we wrap up, do we think for us to speculate? You don't have to. Do we think that might hint towards that Virgil Ortiz might get that shot?
That's what I was feeling like. Yeah. I think you told me not to answer, but that's what I was feeling like. So
you agree, Zytel, Ant? The fact that they moved him up might hint towards that.
He's not ready for that, man.
I don't disagree, but do you think
Bob's a moneymaker?
Yeah, Bob something.
Hey, what's crazy though is like you do that, and again, you're presenting one thing and showing something else, or whatever the case may be. But you do that right there, and then now he may not be fighting Virgil Ortiz, but now he doesn't have to fight Showtime Shawn Porter,
Yeah.
So, but I digress. That's my guy. I need to give him a call. Here's what it is.
For 5 minutes last night, I thought you and Mikey were going to announce that you guys are fighting.
There were definitely some moments where
I was like, are they about to announce they fighting each other?
Like when they showed your guys' highlights back to back, we were I was like, wait a second.
I stayed away from that.
That's a good fight. That's going to be a good fight too, though.
It is. I stayed away from it this weekend, man. I didn't want to. It wasn't about nobody feeling uncomfortable or anything like that at all. I know that dude from like a boxing, from the boxing world, and I just wanted to get away from the boxing world. We talk cars, we talk paintball shooting, we talk swimming, we talk football, basketball.
And we calling his people.
He don't do no other sports. We was in the back room playing cards before we came out. Like I just wanted that to be an experience where I experienced Mikey Garcia for who he is, not for the boxing world and the boxer that I know him to be. So I enjoy working with him, man. I thought that he did a fantastic job, and I hopefully
he loosened up a little bit. He was a little tight early on, especially early on in the week, but I think he started to kind of loosen up a little bit.
Our producer came in his ear, was like, hey, we need a little bit more energy from you, Mikey. And I was just like, hey, are you just gonna slap me in the face like that? But he stepped it up. You know what I mean? He's a dynamite dude.
Great guy. He's in the pound for pound. Great guys in boxing.
He is.
Comfortably ahead of Showtime Shawn Porter.
He is. Like we always talk, me and Leo, and then like you forget this other guy.
Shane Mosley Jr.'s up there. That's gonna be an episode. Stay tuned for that at some point. We're gonna do a pound for pound. We're gonna do a pound for pound rankings of best guys, nicest guys in boxing.
And Mikey,
you won't be involved.
Is freakish. I couldn't believe it. I've seen him get knockouts, but when he fought Jesse Vargas, and to just see this little guy with not long arms, he's overstuffed for welterweight, and Jesse was doing his thing, and then he let go of a left hook that dropped Jesse, and Jesse didn't even get dropped by Pacquiao like that, or a number of guys. His power is freakish for that little frame he's got, and that's all. Mikey's power is for real. That's all.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, great puncher.
All right, fellas. I'm headed home. Got to get up out of here. Have a good day, fellas.
Guarantee you're running late to the airport.
Yeah, no. I'm in that little. I'm flying out of that little one.
Oh, okay.
All right, fellas. Don't tell me you didn't enjoy what you saw, because I know you did. What you need to do now, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, hit that notification button. Check us out every week, every Tuesday. Something new for you right here on the Porter Way Podcast.